Hello, I'm Roger Deemer, and I am announcing my campaign for the 2024 United States presidential election. I'm not actually running for president. I'm not even a member of a political party. It's pretty tough to become president without being a member of a political party. Um, I'm an independent American, proud to be an independent American who has never belonged to a political party, but I can't be president very well the way I am, and that's all right. This is a campaign to make America respectful. And I hope other independents will join me. In fact, I hope patriots from all political parties will join this campaign. Every person running for president, every voter, every American can join this campaign to make America respectful. Now, initially, I was thinking I could call this the campaign to make America respectful again. That kind of rolls off the tongue and it flows with a common theme that's been popular in America recently and unpopular in some circles, but again didn't fit right with me. I was thinking about political elections that I've experienced in my lifetime, and none of them have ever been very respectful. Back in 1976, the year of our bicentennial, when we had just celebrated 200 years of our country's existence, we had a pretty good election. Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter were running against each other, and they were both very respectable leaders. They were respectful to each other, great examples to our country. But the election did have its hostility. This election was the first presidential election after the Watergate scandal, and the Democrats were hostile and beating up the Republican Party for Watergate. So there was hostility in even that election. And when I look back through history, all the way back to the very first presidential elections, we occasionally would get respectful leaders running for president, but the political parties were always hostile. There was always disrespect there. I don't think we've ever had a political election where the American political parties were friendly and respectful to each other. So what I'd like to call our nation to is a new level of respect. Instead of make America respectful again, I want us to make America more respectful than we've ever been before. Right now, that seems pretty impossible because we're kind of at a low in respect. But I'd like to see that pendulum swing back and have our country value respect at a new level like we've never valued it before. We've been trapped in a web of disrespect and hostility for quite a while. It's so bad that it's difficult for our country to do anything well. Our government just doesn't function well with this hostility and disrespect always going on. We're like a giant dysfunctional family. We're insulting and mocking each other, and our ability to deal with challenges is handicapped by the way we're treating each other. Our political processes tend to feed this cycle of disrespect. In order to win elections, leaders have to appear bold and confident and right. The easiest way to create that appearance is by making your opponents look evil, incompetent, and foolish. Instead of voting for the most respectful and admirable candidate that can articulate what they believe and why, we vote for candidates that act arrogant and superior. We support leaders and embrace ideas that make us feel superior to the people we disagree with. That's a destructive human nature tendency. The insulting labels that we throw at each other are pathetic. Um, when we see people that do something that seems biased, people are quick to throw out the racist label, hate, bigot. We're guilty of harsh judgment when we throw out those labels. We're placing people beneath ourselves when we do that. And it's not just people who play the race card that do that. Do you get angry and call people idiots? You're guilty. You're guilty of hostility and you're guilty of superiority. You think you're better than the folks that you disagree with when you call them idiots. I know I'm stepping on some toes here. A lot of us are guilty of doing that, and that's it. We are guilty. I've done it too. We need to drop these labels and focus on actions. If an action seems biased, don't call the person who's doing it biased and racist. Criticize the action. Explain why you think it's biased. Focus on the action, not the person. It's okay to criticize, but we need to focus our critical comments on specific words, actions, policies, whatever it is that we don't like. Take the focus off the person. Some of our nation's problems are huge, and it's okay to feel angry sometimes. Passion can be a good thing, but passion should not be an excuse for hostility and bias. You need to be aware that passion makes you interpret everything in favor of your cause. Passion makes you blind to anything contrary to what you believe in. Passion makes you biased. We can't solve problems by attacking each other in our anger. We need to calm our passions and try to put on some objectivity. Passionate anger, escalates fights and makes matters worse. We need to focus on solving problems, not tearing people down. We can get better, quicker solutions without hostility. Another cause of hostility is that we let extremists push our buttons. Extremists from both political parties want complete power and control of the nation. They refuse to work with folks that they disagree with. That's destructive. We need to sideline these extremists. Support leaders who are willing to work with the opposition. We need to support leaders who can find solutions to problems that are agreeable to most Americans, not just the extreme position of their political party. Those exclusive agendas are pulling us apart. We need to stop listening to the lies that if the opposition wins the election, it's going to destroy us. It's not going to be the end of the world if they win. If the party we don't like wins the election, some bad things will happen, sure, but they'll do some good things too, and our nation will survive. If your party wins the election, it's not going to be as dramatically good as you think. They're going to do some good things and they're going to make some mistakes. Also, both parties do good, both parties mess up. Some are just probably better, depending on your personal values. So if you lose, work to do better at the next election. You're going to have another chance. Don't be afraid that the world's going to come to an end if you don't win the election. That's the extremists pushing your buttons when you feel that way. Okay, now I'd like to speak directly to extremists. You may be right about some things, but you're not right about everything. You need to be aware that you are wrong. Your opponents may be guilty of the incriminating accusations that you like to throw at them, but only some of them. Most of your opponents are good people. They're not guilty of the terrible things that you keep accusing them of. If you think the opposing party is a racist, you probably care about police brutality and white privilege and systematic discrimination, and you probably think those things are rampant. Well, there are a lot of people in this country that disagree with you, and it's not because they're racist haters and bigots that they disagree with you. Sure, there's some of those. There are some evil people out there. There are some people who really do hate, but not most Americans. Most Americans just disagree with you. They don't think police brutality, white privilege, and systematic discrimination are as rampant as you might. If you're concerned about moral decline, that's a passionate case I hear frequently, that our moral decline is destroying the fabric of our nation. Many people disagree with you. There are a lot of people who think some of the new morality in our country is good. Now, some of those people might be reprobates, but not most of them. Most of them are good people with reasonable values that are trying to do what's best for our country. So you need to quit painting them all like there's some big batch of evil reprobates. Now, you can fight for good. If you're an extremist, it's okay. Fight for good and trueness. Make your message to be focused on what's good and true, not focused on the terrible evils of your opponents. And prepare for a long fight. Don't raise the urgency. Don't encourage violence by making a sense of urgency that pushes people to violence and hostility. It's not that urgent. You need to mellow out. Strive for friendly competition. That's what brings out the best in us. Vindictive, hostile competition is destructive. Good competition is all right. Competition between the political parties is good for our nation, I think, as long as we keep it in a friendly balance. Our political parties need to learn to compete respectfully on friendly terms and fight a good fight. They need to think of themselves as being teammates on the same team. They have different ideas about how to win the game, but they want to win the game for our nation. That's what we're pushing for, and we're all pushing for the same thing, no matter how strongly we disagree on how to fight that fight or how to win that game. We should think of it as a competition where we're teammates, not a fight where we're enemies. Our country is, our politics, our political parties are like feuding siblings who spoil every family gathering with constant bickering. How many of you have experienced that? You get together for family, you want a good time, and you've got a couple of people that just bicker and spoil it for everybody. Our Republicans and Democrats have robbed Americans of the joy that we should be experiencing in our freedom and prosperity. You can think of it like a marriage. Maybe our Republicans and Democrats need to stop acting like angry spouses who are in divorce court trying to cause as much damage to each other as they possibly can. If they could start acting like a couple who want to patch up their differences and save their marriage, that mindset might help out here. Politics in the United States have created a harsh divide and it inhibits the performance of our nation. We need to find some common ground to do what's best for our nation and put winning the next election on the back burner. With a little respect, we can change and we can do what's really best for our nation. We Americans can enjoy good times. We just need to respect each other. That's the way I see it. Thanks for listening. Let's make America respectful.